Da, da, da. Hello, 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 and welcome. It's VINO Friday. Hey, Ramus. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. It's so good to be here. It's Friday. All right. Thank you so much. So today, you guys, I'm going to continue talking about really interesting subjects. I kind of want to bring up the spiritual war today a little bit because we're kind of all in it. And so this is why I kind of want to touch on that today and see how we do today with that. And also the other part that I wanted to talk about is media purge. Okay, because what the subjects that I am bringing up, um of course, are an interesting subjects because we are putting this sort of a bigger puzzle together. So this is why I want to kind of bring all of those three sides of this reality, or three pillars that everything sort of stands on in this reality, and what it has to do with sort of with us cleaning up this reality. And as we all know, this is for Hayokas, as I'm using that term. I used to call us earthlings. Some people call us as, whoever we are. Hey, Teresa, good to have you here, darling. Thank you so much for joining. So whichever way you want to, kind of whichever words you want to use, I encourage everyone to be as comfortable with their terminology as they want to be, because everything that I ever teach, if if you want to think of me as a teacher, is I teach individuality, including the fact that even when you do any kind of work, it's always about individual path. And so it is about an individual empowerment here in this reality. And now, because we're incarnated in this time during the quickening period, what we're going through is what's been predicted by so many cultures, right? And so here in United States, we have that Native American culture. And I was just looking at the map of all the native tribes in America, which they call the Turtle Island, just before I went live. So I was looking at that because for some reason I was called to look at that map of that Turtle Island with all of the tribes listed in there. It's something that um, is not taught in our schools in United States. And it's just a history that is barely 200 years old. And we already have forgotten here in United States. So this is kind of like for all of us, because right now through this quickening period, it's like the the burning of the old and renewal, rebirth, and there's so many different words for it. But the paradox that we all kind of go through, and we have to, in a way, sort of balance it, I guess. Or what do you do with the paradox? You just accept that, because the hardest thing for us to accept is that we, as creator beings, are in this human form here in this reality. But for those of you, like I mentioned, from a native perspective last time, right? That if you're a Heyoka empath, you know it, because your life has been so intense with experiences that give you a complete spectrum or the totality. So look at it this way. In this life, right? In this life right now, we're incarnated to close the cycle of abuse on this planet. Let's just say planet. There's just so much more than we know, but I'm not going to get into it. It's whole different talk, right? So here's here's to you guys all. Same wine. A little bit of um I don't even know. I think it's a blend. California blend of white. It's really cold. I mean, it's really hot right now, you guys. So here's to all of you, my wild wisdom warriors out there, for staying wild. Because each of us, we are so unique, and our experiences are going to be so unique, and that's why maturing our abilities. Hey Sin, thank you so much for being here. Cheers, darlings. Cheers, cheers. So here's to all of you staying true to yourself, because you have to celebrate yourself. Because once we recognize that every experience we had, it is there either for us to have the ability or have or gain the knowledge on how to end the cycle of abuse in our reality. So anyway, here's to all of you guys sticking to your wild path. Mm, cold. All right, you guys. So it was interesting because the title came first, then I did the cards. And what was interesting thing, for my spirit cards on the bottom, again came this eternal point card was at the bottom, meaning this is what sort of at the foundation of this title for me today, because I'm going to talk about war and I'm going to bring in media. How does the media, and as you guys know, for those of you that don't know, that are just joining here, I've been talking about justice system for last couple of VINO Fridays, right? So I was talking about the side of the justice system where to we gonna get to the point to where we gonna see so clearly that it is guardians of pedophiles versus guardians of constitution in America, but overall in the world, it's just going to be that way, because we're going to find out that there's one group that's been pulling this wool over um, humanity's sort of consciousness, and that had convinced humanity that we are divided. And this is ultimately what Native Americans metaphor for um, tribe that will come together of all colors, right? Rainbow tribe, meaning of seven heavenly frequencies, so that humanity will embody those frequencies within us. And that means we're all going to understand that we're not just um, skin deep, like I was talking about, when it comes to spirituality, and how easy it is for those of us who are true sort of masters to recognize, like Heyokas, like in many articles that you're going to read, Heyokas will always recognize another Heyokas, because you're going to know to respect other people's path, because you never know what is the ancestral karma that they are rectifying. This is the word that I was using, looking for. Rectifying your ancestral karma in order to close the cycle. Okay. And so this is why I've been talking about this because this is, and for me, because this is what I go through, I'm just sharing my experience. And then, however, my experience can apply to anyone who's listening out there, it is for you as that survival guide to whatever you go through, because the energies are so similar in a way. There is just certain energies, like I was saying last time. We have all these angelic frequencies that we have access to as human beings, to where those that cut off from that side of reality and choose to take the side of the dark arts and go through life that way, they rectifying their karma as well. And so that's why that we have to, what I called a couple of a good few months ago, I was talking about divine retribution. And so this is basically, how do we bring divine retribution? Because for me, and like for any Heyoka, when it came to me that I got dragged into a political arena. So now, as a Hayoka, I had no choice but to experience that. But on the other hand, I got dragged into that arena through justice system, which, to be honest with you, I knew that somehow I'm going to have to experience it, because all of my experiences from over 25 years ago has been directing me towards this, because I wouldn't be able to put to develop Keystone without going through it as an undercover journalist into justice system, to understand how does the forbidden religion operates within that system. I had to go and experience it like every Heyoka in order to know what's really going on, because you can't trust anybody in this reality but yourself. Okay. So it was interesting that it came back again. And like I was saying, it keeps coming. This card keeps coming for almost every time, and every time I intuitively get my things, and then I chat them down, what it is that I need to talk about. And so here's my notes for today. This is how they come. It's hard to see, but I am going to talk about Joe Rogan, Cat Williams, and Tucker Carlson today, and Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Wanted to touch on that today, I guess. That's what. So, and then I did my card. So that's just so you guys a little insight. It's Vino Friday. Vina Friday. Vina Friday. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are so awesome. So loyal. You guys are such a hayokas over here. It is fun exploring all these different things. So, and of course, in this order, then I had the Emperor came out, and then Stream of Love, that's three of water, and then Wheel of Fortune came up again. So to me, because like for me, it's just confirmation. And for those of you that, because this is like for the energy, I always do collective readings. So it's always for collective. So it seems to me there is some kind of like a stability, that we're going to be entering a shift. I can't tell you exactly the timing, but we're going to be entering a shift in consciousness, that our special group having a difficulty understanding what is happening. with this. All right. This is the special group. They're having difficulty understanding because of the forbidden religion, like I said, having only access and wielding the power of the darkness, even though it might be scary to those who stand in fear. But for the Hayokas, fear is we go with we welcome with open arms because we know that whatever we fear, that is something in it for us to conquer that fear. Because I will tell you, most of my ancestral stuff um, was conquering the fear. And from the recent experiences within the last few years, with openly trying on so many sides, people trying to end me in every possible way, um, it just tells me that that's what my ancestors had suffered. The other thing in that I've learned through sort of Native American teachings is who my ancestors are. And that's something that I've learned within just last probably a year or so. Because that was always when I would go into any meditative state and I would sort of wanted to see my ancestors, I could never see them. Anytime I would have any, um, you know, um, uh, my sessions, hypnosis sessions, and I would go and I would specifically would want to intentionally ask my higher self to go and meet my ancestors, and I would meet them, but they would never have faces. There's darkness. It's like that velvety everything. It's like eternity type of thing. And then about a year ago, I came across a European from my lands shaman who sort of knew that all the traditions that I don't know. My mostly is my knowledge comes from being um, the record keep of my bloodline, and it's the oral record keeping. So it's very different from hers. She is a true shaman. Like for me, it's very different of who we are, but crossing that and reading her book and putting all together, and there I found the answer of who these ancestors are, that they don't have faces. And then I got that confirmed just a couple of months later through finding in Native Americans what that means. So ultimately, what it means, it's the race that was that my ancestors are the original race that was erased out of this reality. So that's why it's like my ancestors, it's almost like I see that, but there's no faces ever. So just for those that are close, just few generations, like my great grandmothers and things like that, especially the gypsy side. So that, yes, but like I'm talking way, way back. I'm talking way, way back. I'm talking past Atlantis, past Egypt, uh, Tamith, not Egypt, Tamith before it was Egypt, and all of that stuff. But anyway, um I did recall in some of my sessions some of the lives in Egypt, but that was right before the fall of Egypt or the fall of Tamith before it became Egypt. Okay, because Egypt is the fallen name and Temet is before because the that Egypt, there was a fall of Egypt, of that land. Okay, and so that's why what it is, and there was a war because it was a very advanced. So this is what I was talking about on that time, and this is why today it's coming up again because it's about the war, and the war we have right now, right? It's psychological war right that humanity is experiencing. It's no longer, we have shifted, and this is what's telling you like, we all understand what the wars that are right now that we actually have, those are not wars, those are just murders. There's just mass murders. That sort of, that level of human consciousness is no longer sticking, that understanding. We all understand like war in Ukraine, war in Israel. We all understand it's war for control. It has nothing to do with people of that land. It's war for resources. It's war for control of the people because people are the resources. And so for me, it has always been all this 10 years I've been talking, including Ukraine. What is it used for? And all of that stuff. And this is what I was saying. The reason why I'm writing a book, because all my facts that I reveal, including the ones about the children, like that it's 20 to 30,000 children from Ukraine alone a month. That information, which you guys will find in the book, I got from a politician, from a governor, because I happened to be at the party. Because, and his girlfriend was all tall and beautiful and had a whole bunch of men around her, so he was a little upset. And actually, I knew his girlfriend, so it wasn't the first time I saw him, but he was a little upset. So I go to the waiter, bring me a bottle of Ton moisturizer. She goes, what? I said, bring me a bottle of wine. Ton moisturizer for a politician because I've got some interesting questions. So, anyway, everything is based on facts. Okay. So, anyways, but today I wanted to talk about the psychological war and what what role media had to play in. So, like I said, with justice system and what happened, Ghislaine Maxwell trial, we've seen what happened, the cover up that happened. That was pretty much, it was the closet door had, that trial was like DOJ taking that closet door and opening it wide open so all those little skeletons can walk out. That was Ghislaine Maxwell trial. So DOJ, like I said last time, this bitch is a nut's head. Now we come to media, and this is what I would, the same way I am intending um, to structure Keystone documentary series is to demonstrate the DOJ role with in protecting the oath, protecting the oath. DOJ role in protecting and covering, and then media role. And so this is why I want to talk about media, and then I'm going to talk about also intelligence agencies role. And this is why the war that we're in right now is very difficult because, like I said, that war that 100 years of war that they were able to do, like they can't pull off Hitler again. It's just not gonna happen again. Because we know it's just fight for resources. Okay. And it's very interesting about Ukraine and Hitler, and that's again will come up in too. So, but the silent war that humanity's in right now, it's a whole different kind of war, you guys. Okay. So what we have is that and so the other side, what I'm talking about, the intelligence agencies in particular, is what did they cover up? They cover up human trafficking and drug trafficking. So you have your Department of Justice, and so this is your court systems. So they get infiltrated, so secret oath. So basically it's exposing secret oath, but from three different sides because they triangulate. So there's never a way out from somebody who got caught in it. The only way I was able to get out is because of my experiences and because I was I had 20 years time to get prepared for that experience. So when I entered it in 2020 in September, when that happened, I already entered it knowing that I am recording how do they set it up. My intent was I already knew that Jean Benet Ramsey was a murder was a cover up. So I'm just going to say this about that and I'm going to move on. Knowing that, I needed to know how, who does what, who plays what role, how do they, because my intent was not to just expose that that was a cover up by the secret oath holders, but to also expose justice system illegally seizing children. And that's exactly the evidence I got going through Boulder County. By the time by the time it was about third hearing, I already knew that the judge I was dealing with had already been on record illegally seizing over 100 children in state of Colorado. So imagine the kind of crime I am documenting. What what they're doing is they're doing their job just like all the Nazis did. They're just doing their job, and my job was to document them doing all these things. Kids for cash, yes. And yes, and all of that stuff. So this is why when I say my low budget torture judge, when she went on record with all those, when she came, Jeannie came out of the treasonous bottle and came out of crimes against children bottle. And then on 2/2/2022, Jeannie got a surprise and Jeannie realized that she was wearing a diaper on the wrong hole because she shitted her pants and she had a diarrhea all the way to the courthouse. And she had trailed that diarrhea all over Boulder County justice system, all over it. That Jeannie came out of the bottle. They tried to push her into that bottle, but all they had is Jeannie's diarrhea. We tried to squeeze Jeannie, and all they squeeze back into the bottle. They tried to squeeze Jeannie back into the bottle because if they would, they had no other choice but to drop everything, because if they wouldn't, and they would allow me to come to that hearing, what I would have filed before I went into the hearing, by me filing would mean that they just all fired themselves, because that was a proof that it was a kangaroo court. And if there's a proof, that means it's anti-constitutional. So basically, I ended up documenting Boulder County justice system all the way, police, sheriffs, uh, judges, district attorneys, all have a system of using United States Constitution against United States citizens as a weapon, and in fact do illegally seize children. And it's all on record. There is no way out. So that bitch is on its head. Now let's take a look at the media. So here it comes, like in my case, Jean Benet Ramsey, there was a cover up, right? A cover up that was done by media, including what, 2012? They did another cover up. But the other thing is, with media and justice system, the one thing, that entanglement that they have, is the payouts using public funds. So Lynn Wood negotiated that payout for the cover up of Jean Benet Ramsey via media at that NBC documentary that they did, claiming that Jean Benet Ramsey's brother, 9-year-old brother, somehow is, responsible for her death. But the fact that she was at the Christmas party where the liberation of children's sexuality is a doctrine, and she was at that age where it was supposed to happen to her, and the way she was found was exactly by the way the doctrine says, the way her hands were tied. She had 9 or even more different adult sperms in her. And all of that got covered up. And then they continued to cover it up then in 2012, right? And then the father that made sure that he is on record, is a member, meaning that he've agreed to that cover up. He've agreed to that cover up. But what did they do? They paid him out, and Linwood negotiated that payout. So see, it's just like funny in Atlanta, Georgia, over there, in Fulton County, thinks that, public funds is her own personal gigolo fund. And she goes on TV over there where media is conspiring to cover up the crimes, because they're giving her time as though she's not a criminal. She's a criminal. Conspiracy to defraud the United States. It's not your funny. It's not your gigolo fun. Ooh, she didn't know. She didn't know because she's got the oath to uphold too. So she's gonna shit on the United Constitution oath. And then when you shit on United States Constitution oath, you go on vacation to Guantanamo Bay. Hey, B-Force! So anyway, so the media, but what I wanted to talk to you guys, and last time you asked me about Joe Rogan. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that just to give you a different perspective. They gonna show themselves. First of all, you guys will see Joe Rogan pharma pimp, right? I've said that before, but you couldn't say because he had all these people, it was like seems like everything was new. It was but it was just same pig, different lipstick, right? With Joe Rogan. But you guys, you have to look at what happened with Cat Williams. When Cat Williams went on with Shannon Sharp, and Shannon Sharp made so many millions from that show that Joe got jealous because Joe Rogan, I mean, he only sees money. I mean, come on. Joe's pharma pimp. Look at him. His body. He's a test subject. Everybody knows that Joe is on some special drugs. Everybody knows around him. But he just lies. He's the like the psychopath. He's oh no, it's just I'm working out. I mean, come on, Joe. Look at that unnatural body that he has. The same thing he did. He made his listeners into test subjects. Just go back to all his shows, how many people he had, including murderers on his show. But when Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams had something totally different and it wasn't a controlled opposition, what did Joe Rogan? He shitted his pants. He got scared that his popularity is gonna not gonna be as good. So what did he do? He invited Cat Williams. But there the narcissist and the psychopath, to fake it until you make it. They will keep faking. So they can, for those that can see, they can fake us. So what happened? He invited Cat. Why did he invite Cat? Because he thought that he's gonna get same numbers as Shannon Sharp. Well, because the energy between them was not in any integrity, because Joe, the fucking Joe, has no idea what word integrity means. Joe is on Ghislaine Maxwell list. His friends, his best friends with Tesla guy. What's his name? Tesla guy is on Ghislaine Maxwell's list. Tesla guy, his daughter, well, used to be a boy, Musk. He had a boy, but oh no, he's not. He turned that boy into a girl. That girl became teenager, and she got so mad at Elon Musk that she does not want to have anything to do with him. So Elon thinks that taxing Californians and making more Teslas is gonna fix his father issues. Well, Elon, you shouldn't have fucked with your children's hormones. And then you get upset that they don't want to have any fucking to do with you. Anything to do with you. That's Elon's problem. But you know what? He goes on Joe Rogan's show and he tells what Americans? that, oh, by 2030, I'm gonna have all these robots. They're gonna replace humans. Oh, Elon is not doing the fear porn at all because Elon is not on Ghislaine Maxwell list. Ooh, we know. Really? How you gonna pay for that, Elon? Just the same way you paying for Teslas? You're gonna put it with dictator Newsom and make new laws and then have Californian residents pay for the robots for you too? Burisma taxes, like right now, they made a law, Burisma taxes. Californians paying Burisma taxes because Elon hired engineers from Burisma, huh? And that's Elon's engineers for bitch. Hired Burisma engineers. He didn't know that Burisma is child porn factories. He didn't know that. Ah, Elon. Where he's gonna get the money to make to replace humanity with robots? He's got to steal it somehow, somewhere, like he's stealing it right now for his Teslas. But we all gonna see it, and we can easily look back and see what happened. The energy wasn't there. He did not have near to the numbers that Shannon had with Cat. So what did Joe do? The next day, as soon as Cat left, the first thing he did, Joe Rogan on his show, is shit it on his show with Cat. Because you know what? Joe was hoping that he's gonna get money, just like Shannon did. And when that didn't happen, he started belittling Cat. He made half of that show belittling Cat Williams. And he thinks that nobody's going to notice. That's how dumb these people are. That's how dumb. So we're going to see them sort of, because anybody who has one fucking brain cell in their head would go, Joe, you were saying, I will do a show with Cat. Why do you talk shit about your guests? People will stop coming to his show. That's how things will shift. Because direct exposure is what we all gonna see. I predicted direct exposure 10 years ago. On this channel, there is an exposure of David Wilcock 10 freaking years ago. All of that, his arrival on Blue Avian, it didn't go well, did it? Same with Joe Rogan. Who's his bestie? Alex Jones. Alex Jones been pretending that we had no problems with children. That's the war on America. We lost so many more children than we ever lost in Afghanistan, in World War II, in World War One, in all of the wars together. Americans have lost so much more in this silent war on our children. And that's here comes your CIA. By the way, you guys, my CIA neighbor, oops, my neighbor. Who's my neighbor? Remember my neighbor that was addicted to dizziness that rides on my circle over here nonstop? Since the last time I said last Friday, it's been a week. I think he overdosed on dizziness. I think he overdosed on dizziness. He's longer riding around in circles. Funny, huh? Oh, Teresa is so funny. I bet he overdosed on, on dizziness and fell into ditch somewhere and using his bicycle as a blanket right now, sleeping on the side of the road. Anyway, you guys, the other clarifiers cards that I wanted to show. So, um that came up today, okay, at the bottom of the other ones is the possibilities was at the core. So we have, and I love that, it's an eagle flying above, and the saying that came to me is today when I look at this card, when it came up on sort of at the foundation, and I said, oh, does the eagle worries about the crows on his back? No, the eagle keeps flying and flying and flying, and the crows will stop for air. That's how we do it. They're gonna start gasping for air. So we're just gonna keep rising and rising and rising. And we don't need to expose because it's only lies that have to be repeated so many times for people to believe it. Truth is like a lion. You just let it free and let it just and let it defend itself. You don't need to remember it. You don't need to convince anybody. It may not find itself for a long time, but it will eventually will stand. The truth will always stand. And then the three cards that came out as a sort of clarifiers for us, as an advice, kind of for us how to proceed and what it is. So mostly the silent war is being waged by uh, uh, intelligence communities. And so basically in America, the treason like FBI, CIA, big treason is all, and that's why it's going to be military tribunals in America. That's the only way to clear up this side, because you can't leave that third side, because this is crimes against children. They protect. Um uh, so that actually is like I was saying, it all gonna have to sort of be done. So anyway, I don't know why I was also that advice for us, because right now, and this is kind of like uh the silent war, because it's like it's so bloody. So it's going to be very difficult for us to kind of, because like right now, even people I'm talking about, like Joe Rogan, they couldn't understand because they're so used to that frequency, that collective level being, you know, um, they can only follow orders in a way. So this agencies, right? So what I was saying, right? Like when we learn, right? And there is no secrets that CIA and KGB is all one and the same, and they report to Mossad. And so basically, Mossad was in charge of Cold War. Okay, it wasn't fought between Russians and Americans. It was all Mossad playing both sides. So that's kind of like this is the silent war that nobody knows who's in charge. So this is your deep state basically, but they use Mossad to control CIA, KGB, and all of that stuff. So it's like middlemen. So Mossad is middlemen. So again, came up card 12 in a regular deck. It is Hangman, but in this deck, this is Osho deck. This is a new vision. So this is for your spiritual growth. So it's for mastery. So for advice, I typically put this pull this card. So to me, that means we have to keep an eye because all these things that are going to be so that's coming to the surface, but we can't, like, feel bad, because it's not that it wasn't happening. It's just we are going to, collective humanity is going to be finding out about it. But those of us that listening here, we all knew about it. So we got to keep an eye on that new vision, that those that hit that stuff, once the truth is revealed, there is no impact on society anymore that they did have. So they're not going to be able to control. So that they're losing the control. So we got to keep the vision alive. So that energy alive for us. Okay. The other thing that I got is to keep celebrating, because we already won. Okay. And so this is the Three of Cups for those of you. So this is very, so it's water. So it's emotions. So it's kind of like allowing yourself to feel anger if you need to, even denial. Understand that we're all human in this reality, and we're going to be experiencing all of this with humanity. Okay. And the stronger the energy surfacing, the more we're going to be, because it's surfacing within us, not to expose it when it's within us so we can eliminate it within us. Within a high yoga, or with those of us who are uh light workers, right? Some people call themselves light workers, those of us that, masters here on the master's path. We know that it's surfacing, that collective karma is surfacing for us to alchemize it, because we're master alchemists. Okay. We're only doing this to alchemize collective. That's why we've done it, our personal healing, in order to be able to alchemize collective. So when it's surfacing, we have to we have to celebrate that it's coming surfacing, so we can alchemize it. Because how many of you guys, I've been waiting for this period for a long time, preparing and preparing and preparing for this cleanup to start happening. So it's finally time for us to say, hey, we see the signs that collectives about go through this stuff. And we have to go through the rebirth or phoenix rising. And you can't rise if you don't have shit to burn. So we're going to burn some shit. Right? So Phoenix can rise unless there's stuff that needs to be burned. So as an alchemist, you got to look at that this way, right? And so then I love this card. Maturity. It's Mother Earth in the spirit deck. And I love this card. It's just so beautiful. And see, for me, it's all about art, because I'm an artist. So I get messages from looking at art. So like, to me, it's the flowering of our consciousness that we finally, even like for us, for those of us that individually knew all this difficult information, right? Um we we were still conspiracy theorists and all of that stuff, but now it's mainstream. Like I mentioned, Kat and Shannon, right, had that interview, millions of people, and we see that. Look, 20 years ago, I think, when Mel Gibson had that issue with confused Jews and confused Americans, and what they did to him, they destroyed Mel 20 years ago. Mel didn't do anything. You know what he did? He made Passion of the Christ. It killed in the box offices. That's how. He didn't do any revenge. And then most recently, what did Mel do? Mel is just, I mean, see, um that movie about child trafficking, and then he finance a documentary about child trafficking in Ukraine. So, but I remember how he was destroyed. But now it's flipping, and that movie, Sounds of Freedom, right? That movie did so great in America. Again, I think it's beat Spider-Man. It beat every one of them. This is our signs that things on a collective level are changing. It would never happen before because before they had power over studios. And if they said, no, we're not going to sell you a movie, we're not going to sell it. And finally, just what, a couple of years ago, finally, Mel was able to find Mel Gibson, who's been in Hollywood for ages, couldn't distribute that movie. They wouldn't let him. But Boo Boo Kitties are not guardians of pedophiles in Hollywood. Ooh, wee, they're hiding. They're hiding. They're so bad. They're hiding. Hey, Zakaria, thank you. Thank you for being here. And good morning to you in Turkey. So lovely to have you here. Yeah, I'm doing those a little bit later, Zakaria, just for everybody in Europe. Everybody in Europe are kind of like it's early for them. So I might even do this 1 hour later. We'll see how this goes. All right, you guys. But anyway, the other thing is, so we're gonna see a lot of this human trafficking like thing, and so the war, the silent war, like even the war in Afghanistan, we're gonna find out that it was a CIA war and it was all drug war. So all that blood market that goes with drug market, right? So we're going to find all of that. And like I said, we already started because there's already investigation as of August 2023 of child trafficking system within the state of California, San Diego County Sheriff's Department, and Camp Pendleton have combined joint investigation into child trafficking system in California that is ran by the government officials, by these boo kitties. By this boo boo kitties. So this is what I'm saying, that things will just start kind of because the illusions and everything fake it, they can still fake it. But those people that experience truth, we're gonna have floodgates open off whistleblowers and everyone. And just so you guys understand how even it so happened the other day, my son is very intellectual, so he likes he's investing he likes all the shows about that tickle his mind about investigation. And so we're watching Criminal Minds. I don't know if you guys know um, that show here in America. And so it so happened the other day, it was a show about a musician who looked like a vampire, and his manager convinces him that he needs to do his teeth like a vampire and live up to his character and all of that stuff. And so we see him, and then all of a sudden, we see that in the morning he wakes up with blood on his mouth. So, and then we kind of see how his manager manipulates everything around him. Ultimately, that episode ended with Kano telling us how things done in Hollywood um, with that blood market. Ultimately, they figured out this FBI team, that behavioral team figured out, and what happened is the manager would find the fans, the most dedicated fans, and that he made the fans go and kill people and drain their blood because they would the bodies that they would find would be drained of all blood, and they would be drained in ritualistic form, just like it states in Middle East in those forbidden religion is how to drain blood. And there is a case in Ukraine that got shut down right before the communists came in, and it was again about some special people, you know who. But anyway, in there, and so the episode goes around, and so ultimately they find this girl that was doing that, and she was killing these people, draining the blood and getting it to the manager. The manager was given pills to the actual guy and feeding him at night actual blood. Okay, somebody's knocking on the door, but I'm not expecting anybody. So I'm going to continue. So what they end up is they end up in even in that episode just arresting the girl, and that's it. So that just demonstrate to you that even in this case they don't really, because there's a supply demand, and then there is that illusion that goes out there, and the guy musician had no idea that he was being fed that blood. And so the manipulation just kind of how the whole thing, the cover up was just kind of uncovered in that one of the episodes that we just so happened to watch. So anyway, you guys, it's been 1 hour. All right. Any questions, you guys? So I wanted to kind of talk about that too a little bit. So we're just gonna see, like, and like I was saying, the things that are gonna start come to the surface are gonna be those things that are very difficult for us to know. That those things that, like I was saying, Vetico is a cannibalistic spirit. And this is why I'm sticking with Native American terms, because we can understand for sort of for its nature. Okay. And so this is the one, this is sort of, is going to be a very difficult subject for humanity to sort of, to sort through. But everything is changing, and all those people, like I was saying, like, all of those gatekeepers, we're gonna start seeing the things will start, whistleblowers will start showing up. Like I saying, there's people are given interviews that they've seen David Icke, the whistleblowers, those that survive satanic abuse. They already given interviews out there on podcasts that they've seen David Icke participate in rituals. So when that more facts are out and backing facts are out, it just goes poof. The whole thing goes poof. And it's just poof. But it's a lot of fire, so that phoenix, that consciousness will rise. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here, you guys. I know there's a lot of like subjects that I'm pulling on, but you guys are all know it. You can feel it, and the reason, and like we talked with you, Ramus, what yesterday or the other day, right? We talked about how there's so much more to communication, that, most humanity, and especially for us, for those of us who are a little bit more mature spiritually, right? We understand that, even the voice is so much to hearing that, it's so much more, communications. And then seeing again, you look at me, I'm more than Italian over here. Right? How you doing? All right, you guys, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me. So I will see you next Tuesday. I'll probably will do this a little bit later now. I think it's summer. Everybody's out. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much for being here. Love you, darling. Mwah. Zakaria, thank you so much for being here. I know it's early morning there, so I appreciate you being up so early with the sun. Say hi to the sun from me. Ramus, thank you so much for being here. Sin, thank you. I absolutely love, very informative comments. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a great week. And until next time, stay wild. Yeah, it is.